everybody, it's a man with no name here. We're back in action on our how-to series. Today we're going to be on the second tutorial for Gates of Hell. This one is going to be on vehicles and vehicle control. The last video, if you haven't seen it, it's out, but it's for infantry. I dove into a little bit more than just the basics of what the tutorial showed. There's a lot more tips and tricks along the way. But without further ado, let's get into the vehicle control. So in the realm of vehicles, I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy playing direct control with this. So I'll showcase that if it's not showed as good in this video.
Welcome to the front line. This will be your first tank combat experience, so pay attention for your own survival.
This combat hardware has to offer a multi-role tank capable of supporting our infantry and dealing with enemy armor.
So here we got the demographics of the gun, the armor. This is your tank crew, everything from driver. If you click on them, you can dismount. You can also dismount down here in the command section, or G, which will make everybody dismount from the vehicle. Which, the only time I would do this is if it was on fire and you could get your crew out quickly, but at that point, I don't really see a purpose for this. This is mainly for, you know, half trucks or troop transport trucks that are carrying infantry.
Now, move the tank to position behind the sandbags.
So, before we kind of get into the beginning, same thing applies going left to right here. Here's your unit and your command bar. I didn't cover that. All your units are going to be here. This is a quick select. It's pretty nifty and it's very convenient. You have your direct control item. Now here you have your inventory list, just like the infantry. You have a fuel canister, your ammunition for your hull and turret machine guns, and then your different shells for armor piercing and heat, as well as HE and smoke. You also have your 3 kilogram demolition charge. With that being said, a quick option, you have your fuel here. It's demographics. Here's the Panzer IV variant F1 or OFS1, and it's a medium tank class. You have your fuel here, and then when you begin driving, it will show your speed in kilometers an hour. You also have, between your MG and your main gun, a quick reload option or transitioning from shell to shell while on the move would be to click this shell, and then you can hover over and get your demographics for the shell you want. So click it, HE, and then it would begin the load process as seen here on the screen. Now, the MG also, you can select which machine gun you want, and then if you were to enter into the mode for direct control, then you have the turret. That green dot signifies where the cannon is facing at the time. Your crosshair is where you will be facing, like such, and then you see the turret moving. Now, this option I have switched. I forget what the main control key is to switch between the different firing positions on the tank. I have switched it to F4, and the F4 is also with the infantry, and then F5 switching from a primary to a secondary weapon on my infantry class. This is direct control from the DC variant. Hit T. I have to be quiet because this audio within the tank drowns out my microphone, even with adjusting my microphone settings and the audio. But here is a view of the tank being kind of in a third person, and then you also get the direct first person view, which is nice, of the reticle as well as your elevation, everything else. I definitely fluctuate back and forth playing in direct control and in the third person mostly. Now, if there is a target that is at some range or it's pivoting in the wood line per se, I will use the DC mode and get fixated on, say, this tree as an example, and then try to hit it. I have a better accuracy rating versus just shooting at a tree or a tank through this brush line, not being able to see it. Your accuracy is also based on the snub nose versus a higher, longer barrel. That will also take into effect with your penetration ability as well. Other than that, there's not anything on the taskbar that you'll be utilizing. So you have your tankman positions here, reloader, everything for the tank crew. Now, moving over to the taskbar, everything looks the same. You have your direct fire control here. You either have your movement or your halt. This option is for turning the engine off or turning the engine back on. Don't really know the feature that inclines in that. You know, I guess if you had a supply truck or something you just want to put stationary, you can kill the engine and save yourself a little bit of ambience. I've never really messed with it. There isn't really a idle burn on your fuel, so you don't have to worry about that either. This would be for your new feature that they added in with the reverse option. You can either have reverse only or forward and back. Within this triangle you see here, I can click it anywhere and it will heal back up, which is a nice feature. Now, again, you have the suppressing fire, which is the option that you would have with the infantry class. The only problem I would say with this, unless it's been fixed, is you're just going to get a primary weapon system. Unless I can do this. Okay, so that is how you fix that. You just have to get to the command on that specific weapon system. If you want to cancel an option, just hit F, or, you know, cancel option down here in the bottom right corner. Moving on, this is target, attack, and then attack the zone. Nothing different. I don't ever really use that unless I'm using artillery or mortars. Now, conveniently with the AT rounds and the tank rounds, you have a ammunition lock variation, which this will allow you to lock the ammunition that's type that is in the main gun. So in this case, him having less penetration than, say, a Panther or a Tiger, which would need to be more focused on tanks, I may put him as an HE variant and just let him stay as normal, or if I really wanted to, him focus on HE, lock him into position. I do lock Tigers and tank destroyers in, and usually put the anti-tank charge in the main turret and then hit lock. You can also, I forgot, you can also switch variant types by hitting spacebar when you're selected on your unit. This will also work for stationary machine guns and ammo types within the realm of the infantry. You also have the examine mode and then the forward assault. Not really a difference here. And then the rotate, again, I don't really see a point in the rotate option when you can just right click and move the tank to where your desired location is, and then direction, which you will rotate based on facing, which you'll see in the final preview in a second. We already went over the all-out dismount variation. Now, one thing you can do with tanks, just like we did with the infantry, is we can review the overall inventory of other vehicles to vehicles. This works with MGs, mortars, tanks, etc. Basically, anything that has an inventory can review the inventory of another, and you can trade and swap. Now, typically a good cheat is on stationary vehicles that are a part of the map, whether you're playing in Conquest or in Campaign. Most of them will have, if you remember from the infantry video, they will have the repair kits in them. So that is a good way to get extra repair kits. But on vehicles, especially like supply trucks that have 10 repair kits in them, or a transport truck that's not going to be utilized, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and load up your tank with extra repair kits, so that way if it takes damage during fighting, it's easily able to be repaired because it has repair kits. And then lastly, there's not anything else to really worry about. Now, veterancy does work. It doesn't necessarily work with the tank, it's more with the effectiveness of the crew. So that, I don't know all statistics, I haven't got to look into it very much, but it could be just something as simple as maybe a slight reload speed, or it's just specifically efficiency in the tank overall functionality. You'll see that here you have efficiency in the bottom right corner. I don't know if that's pertaining to accuracy or if that's pertaining to you know, functionality of tank. One thing, we can't see it here, but if the tank only has one person in it, I have noticed, or two people, their field of view may only be to the front and wherever the turret is facing. Whereas when a full tank crew is in, then because of the periscopes and whatnot, you kind of have more of a 180-degree view. But anyway, guys, that was very quick rendition. Tried to keep it short and brief, but that is kind of a walkthrough, we can say, like tanks.
Enemy vehicles down the road. Wipe them out.
Both these tanks can take out this F1 very quickly, locally. So we've got options to repair and off the attack. So we have our position. We want to have AT in because it's going to be an infantry or vehicles. HE for high explosive for infantry, and then you also have the E position as well. Transitioning between the hull machine gun and the hull main battery is an effective way to do so. Again, I don't use 2, 3, 4, etc. I'll swap between my F4 and F5. And then when you can change views and everything of that nature to get a better view, such as seen here.
Your tank is immobilized because the truck is broken. We will deal with it later. First order of business.
So we gotta take out these guys. This tank is in direct control now. Now you'll see the MG is firing on its own. The whole turret operates on its own. This is a mostly fixed function, but the only problem is if I were to get on the MG on the hull, then the turret does not operate independently. So that is kind of something that is broken per se right now.
Your tank automatically prioritized firing at the enemy tanks first, then the armored car. When armored threats are eliminated, tanks will automatically switch to high explosive shells to engage infantry.
That says that, but I think it's geared more towards infantry first. I've died many times with it switching to HE,
Excellent job.
shooting at infantry,
Now you must
focusing
turn your
on
attention to the
infantry
broken track.
versus
We must
the tank.
keep our vehicles
So that's why I have the
operational at
lock-in
all
option
times.
usually selected for that reason. So video repair, we're not really going to go into it because
Your tank is equipped with 5 repair kits.
got into that a
Each
second ago.
repair kit will repair 1 vehicle
So
component,
essentially, we'll leave it
then
up here.
Consumed.
hit the
To
repair
begin the
button.
repair, select the tank and click on the repair button.
I'll select the
button
repair
the
kit,
tank's
and then he'll
damaged
go around.
components in order of
Now,
priority.
one thing that is
Manually
notable
disinvolve
with
a crew member,
the...
select the repair button and click on the tank.
Scissors Gal, shut up.
Tank crew, artillerymen, and engineers can repair vehicles much faster than ordinary soldiers. Tank crew also have greater skill and accuracy with the tank's main cannon. Always try to replace any lost crew with properly trained tank men.
Achtung, Feindpanzer!
So that is the answer to that question. Tank. I was going to say artillerymen, engineers, and tankmen do repair faster than infantry, but it is nice to know that it does add accuracy and efficiency to the tank.
The supply truck has arrived. Just in time to replenish the shells you just used up.
We're going to skip that because I'm going to show you
Resupply your tank
guys
by bringing it within the resupply radius of the
pretty
supply
cool
vehicle.
trick, so to speak. So you don't have to back it up. I was just... Never double clicked it. So as long as you're in the supply radius, then everything will be fine. However, I am going to show you a cool tip here on, say, an infinite supply glitch or exploit in the game. No, I shouldn't have. So as long as you're in the radius, you're fine. It's not letting me search. That sucks. Okay, well, I can still do this. So, never mind. Stand by.
Very well. Now, move forward and take control of the enemy checkpoint ahead.
So if you would like to see this little exploit
Enemy infantry
here,
are most easily dealt with using high explosive shells and with the tank's secondary armament. However, it may be inconvenient if enemy armor arrives and your tank has to spend valuable time switching to AP shells to engage it. For this reason, there is a button to lock the vehicle to only use the currently selected shell type and to not switch to other shells on its own.
so this is my infinite ammo exploit here. Using supply trucks. Now, it's not necessarily infinite, but you can dang near get it that way. So, you can typically view the inventory of the supply truck, but for this tutorial, you cannot. But what I like to do is, say, your ammunition and your lower inventory shells. Some, like 8 AT rounds are very short supply in certain tanks, and even HE is really short supply. I do this with the 50 cals on top of the Shermans and other vehicles all the time in my videos, but basically what you can do is you can swap the inventory and take out all of your minimum equipped armament with each individual thing, whether it's artillery, it's tanks in this case, or infantry does this too. I love doing this exploit with AT tankmen, or anti-tank personnel, because I get more rockets that way. Now, essentially, all you have to do is take out the inventory, and then it will resupply whatever the base specs are. So in this instance, you start out with 2,850 rounds of 7.92 millimeter, and then you got 10 AT rounds, armor piercing. But now I have 40 armor piercing rounds, 40 AG rounds, 26 heat, and 4 smoke. So if I wanted some more smokes, I could do this. It does not work for, say, the demolition charge, and then also does not work for the repair kits. Now, I could take the repair kits out of this supply truck or this truck if needed, but anyway, it's not there. So what we'll do now is, typically one thing you do not want to do is to have really high success is having a supply, your tank or vehicle or whatever the case may be, because it has limited field of view. As you can kind of see here, you have your turret, which is the top on the map, and then your field of view with the hull is the other, and then you have a little bit of a 360, but even then it's very limited. So we're gonna lock that into place. Most of the time, I will on something like this, I will let the MGs essentially take care of the problem for me, because they're just auto, and they're sometimes got a better hit accuracy rating than us just sitting there pointing at the target and getting a spray out of it. Don't ask me how that all works, but that's just part of it. Now, once you're about to push in, I would always strongly urge you to reload your MGs, because there's nothing like getting a new wave of advancing troops coming in at you, and then you know, not having an MG and being AT ready to go. The other thing you're going to have to worry about is blind spots. Being up here by yourself, if something was behind, if there's an infantry unit behind this log, or your field of view is just not picking it up for whatever reason based on the visibility through your tank, you can get AT'd from the side, this side, or even the rear if someone's hiding in the bushes back here. Also, be mindful of urban environments such as this, because it is blind spots for the tank. But since we're vulnerable, or not very vulnerable to anything right now, because we have invulnerability, and for the tutorial, as well as being in third person on the direct control side, mainly so you can still hear to combat this. There's this. There was one guy over here in this corner, I believe. You always need to have your head on a swivel. See how that guy delayed? That's what I was talking about in the last video. It'll take him a second to disappear. But like, even like coming around this corner, like, I should pick him up, and it delays forever. And then, okay, there he is now. But it's like, there's a delay there, so you just gotta be careful on infantry. And,
Enemy tank, a heavily armored one.
T-34, wow. I'm telling you right now, we're not gonna win this fight. Even with heat, sometimes it's not great. So here, if it'll let me,
You will have to use heat shells to penetrate the thick.
direct control, back up, try to take a... Now that I know I'm invulnerable, here we go. I want the best possible accuracy, so I'll let the circle get in. You can also do this once those crosshairs are pretty much lined in. You can also do that. Heat's a pretty good, effective way, but the only problem with it
That's how it's done.
is the penetration ability based on the overall length of your tank's barrel.
All right, Commander. You seem to have gotten the hang of it. Now, go forward and eliminate the last enemy position. Choose your targets wisely, and feel free to return to the supply truck for resupply.
You're not gonna need supply trucks for that. Anyway, I'll try to walk you guys through. So we know at least there's a... If I was gonna approach this, typically I would have infantry at least come up here. I know that it's not necessarily cover or concealment, but I need field of view on my sides, because I don't want to get flanked with my tank. If I have other tanks also, that would be nice. I'm gonna have to get out of the field of view of this tank to get an accurate hit on... See, and then you get shot at from a ways off. That's why the field of view is so important. Because in a real scenario, I would not have this invulnerability on my side, and that would have disabled my tank more than likely. So I have field of view problems because of the tank hedgehog. Also, don't put a whole lot of trust in this armor, because this 45 can easily take through this F1 armor. Surprisingly, you can see the accuracy of this snub nose barrel. So we took him out. Looks like he's hurt. So I know it seemed like there was one more thing, but if I can get over here, I was hoping I'd get a higher accuracy rating. There we go. That was a heat round, but HE is where you want to go from here. HE is great because it will, if you can blow up most of the sandbags in the attacking area, then you definitely want to do that as well, because if you don't have infantry to help and support you, you will have blind spots, and your tank will be vulnerable for AT in the butt. And if nothing else, the AT rifles will detrack you, and then you're stuck, and then you get swarmed. So just be mindful of that moving forward. That shell like went over or through. I don't know which. Shooting on the fly also is not the most accurate either. I'm shooting through it or something. I don't know what's going on there. Now normally I would not, I would urge you not. If there's people inside the house, shoot the house, right? I mean, just only makes sense, right? Oh wow, I haven't seen any of those other than the campaign. See right there, that guy's right there behind me, and he could have flanked me easily.
The Bolsheviks left us some fuel trucks. What a lovely surprise. No doubt you should consider refueling after this arduous trip. Go see to it.
Well, that's why I couldn't destroy the fuel trucks. Makes more sense.
To refuel your tank, bring it within the refuel radius of fuel trucks.
So, very briefly, your tank will not consume this much. Like, I think I've ran out of fuel like 1 time or 2 times during the Conquest series. So we did go over this a little bit in the infantry video, but for sake of, time and learning, we will do it. So here's the inventory of my commander. He's got 20 of 20. Now, this is what it would look like. Now, if you try to get it as close as you can, because they're having to walk, and it'll speed up the process. Now, another option would be to just reselect your it would be to reselect your MP40. He can run over there. When he gets close, he can pull out his fuel again. Go ahead and refuel. He's 20 of 20. Go ahead and get back over here. When he gets close, pick up the fuel again. Refuel. And this is a way to do it. Not saying it's most effective, but that is an option. That at one time, on one of the last final missions of the Scorched Earth campaign, there is a mission where you kind of had to do that based on your limited fuel. Now, normally, just like the supply truck, you just need to get within fuel range, and it's almost an instantaneous fill up. And then after that, you're
You
good
have
to go.
acquired all the basic skills to fight in armored vehicles. I am sure you will become a highly skilled tank commander.
And that, guys, is pretty much the vehicle control, vehicle tutorial. That's essentially all that there is to it. Now, things to think about: you do need to have appropriate tanks with support, your infantry, as you saw towards the end, that flanking ability of the infantry. So it's always good to have supporting units, whether you have a superior tank like a Tiger or IS-1. but you need other tanks as well. They don't have to be just light tanks like a Panzer II or a T-70 or a Stuart, but you do need to have, say, a Sherman 76 and then have a couple 75s with it, or a Tiger or Panther and then have, you know, a G variant. Now you can go all the way on Conquest and have like a whole plethora of amount of Tigers, but you also have inventory or combat space to go through as well. So with that, you need to have designated AP rounds, designated people that will just switch back and forth, but just be mindful. And then lastly, I'd say inventory exploit. Use that as much as or little as you want to. That's a good little exploit for me. I love using it. And then the infantry. If you can support your tanks or your vehicles that have blind spots with infantry, you'll have a lot more success pushing points or capturing objectives. And then having a tank and infantry combo is great because your tank is supporting your infantry's protecting your tank as much as possible, and it all goes hand in hand. With saying that, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. On the next video and tutorial will be on AT guns and artillery. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.